And even though a ceasefire has been announced, the Tuesday morning post by Donald Trump warning that a whole civilization will die tonight has ignited a chorus of demands from either impeachment or action under the 25th Amendment by Democrats in the United States. Now, more than 85 House Democrats had called for President Trump to be impeached or removed via the 25th Amendment as of Tuesday evening. Now, Representative Eric Swalwell said the president must be removed. I quote him, "If Congress is too cowardly to do it, his own cabinet must," he tweeted. Now, Speaker Nancy Pelosi has rallied the call, bringing the number of House Democrats seeking Trump's removal to 70, which later went up to 85. Representative Gwen Moore warned Congress must rein in President Trump. Now is the time for Republicans to join Democrats in ending what he calls his madness. I also quote him. He says he is unfit to serve and must be removed through any possible avenue, unquote. Representative Melanie Stansbury added, just because the president announces he's agreed to a 2-week ceasefire moments before threatening war crimes does not make him fit to serve, unquote. Washington is now at a fever pitch as fears over Trump's actions mount and lawmakers debate the extraordinary steps needed to check a president they say has crossed the line.
I think it's very clear that Donald Trump is not fit to serve as president and commander-in-chief of the United States at this point. And I have called for the use of every possible tool to remove Trump from his position, whether that's the invocation of the 25th Amendment, which would require the cabinet acting, impeachment, which would require Congress to act. And we are planning to put another war resolution on the House floor as soon as we're able to vote to end the war. And so we're looking at all constitutional means to rein in Trump and to stop him from committing crimes. As a Democrat, the ball is in the court of the Republicans. They control the executive branch, they control the Senate, they control the House, and we have not seen our Republican colleagues being willing to take a public stance to hold the president accountable. And so we're calling on the speaker, on the leadership, and on our Republican colleagues, both in the cabinet and in the Congress, to take action now. I think that we are in complete unanimous agreement, at least in the House caucus, that we need to be called back immediately. You've probably seen the statements from our leadership, and all across social media platforms today, we've been calling for the speaker to call us back. This is not unlike the emergencies that we had in the fall during the government shutdown. And it's not clear at this point whether or not Johnson will take any action. We've seen time and time again that as an ally of the president, he's been unwilling to do anything that would cross Trump.
The U.S. Democrat Party representative from Massachusetts, Jim McGovern, expressed concerns regarding Trump having access to nuclear codes. Jim McGovern has asked the cabinet to take away nuclear codes from what he calls a madman. Let's listen into what he said.
The President of the United States is a madman. In case you haven't heard, he's threatening to commit genocidal war crimes, threatening to wipe out an entire civilization, killing innocent men, women, and children. That is illegal under federal and international law. Our brave men and women in the military took an oath to the Constitution, not to a president. And under law, they are required to disobey unlawful orders. Now, if Trump's cabinet had an ounce of integrity, they'd invoke the 25th Amendment, and they would take the nuclear codes away from this deranged lunatic before more innocent people are killed. But they're a bunch of fawning sycophants, and so I doubt they're going to do that. Speaker Johnson, you need to call Congress back into session right now. We need to rein in this psychopath. We need to debate, and we need to vote to end this war now.
And even as U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire with Iran, a political storm is brewing back home with growing calls to invoke the 25th Amendment. Donald Trump's recent remarks on Iran, including controversial and sharply worded statements, including the likes of wiping out an entire civilization, have triggered criticism and raised questions over his conduct and decision-making. So can a sitting U.S. president really be removed under the 25th Amendment? Now, here's what the U.S. Constitution says. Well, the 25th Amendment, ratified in 1967 after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, lays down the process for presidential succession and dealing with incapacity. It has 4 sections. Under Section 1, the Vice President becomes President if the office falls vacant due to death, resignation, or removal. Section 2 allows the president to nominate a new vice president subject to approval by both houses of Congress. Section 3 provides for a temporary transfer of power where the president can voluntarily hand over duties to the vice president. But the most debated provision is Section 4, which allows the vice president and a majority of the cabinet to declare the president unfit to serve, making the vice president the acting president. If the president contests this, Congress must step in with a two-thirds majority required to keep the vice president in charge. Amid Trump's repeated and shifting statements on the Iran conflict, some lawmakers are now urging his cabinet to consider invoking the Section 4 under the 25th Amendment to impeach U.S. President Donald Trump.